Hey, it's Eric Arnold here in the Politics Barn, Thursday, November 9th. Episode of the Politics Barn. What's on tap? Well, I think we're less than a year now, well within a year of the 24 election, and I guess we better have a status report, see where we're at here. Elections Tuesday, of course, another GOP disaster. What else is new? Yeah, there have been a lot of polls out showing Trump is ahead in the race for president. Washington Post had a poll showing him up 10 points. Just recently, the New York Times had a poll out in the, I guess you could say, the 6 swing states, showing Trump solidly ahead in all of them except, I believe, Wisconsin. And then I believe CBS had him up 4 points, Trump up 4 points on Biden. So, if you're a Trump voter, you're thinking, woohoo, yeah, MAGA, we knew it, absolutely. So I have, of course, resisted the urge to get excited, because I know through my vast experience of poli-sci schooling and long years of watching politics that polls don't mean a damn thing. In fact, they're usually meant to shape public opinion to a certain end. They're not actual honest measurements of public opinion. What those are called elections, and we had one of those Tuesday. And what the poll on Tuesday showed is that the Democrats are much more popular in this country than Republicans. And you're saying, how can that be? That's ridiculous. They cheat. They let illegals vote, mail-in ballots. None of that matters anymore. The rules are the rules. And it's pretty much been established that there are virtually no rules. That whatever you can get away with, those are the rules. And the Democrats are simply better at it than the Republicans. Now, when you get right down to brass tacks, the issue that is winning these elections for the Democrats is abortion, of course. I thought this was obvious, but then, I read some things and it was almost like, I think there's still Republicans out there that don't understand, that cannot see what I think is just blindingly obvious. Americans want abortion, and that is their first and primary issue at the moment. They want to be able to kill their babies without anybody interfering. And they don't care how old they are either. They want to be able to kill their children. So get off my back, neighbor. Get off my back, Republicans, government. I want to be able to kill my children. Okay. To me, that's clear. I mean, that's as obvious as the nose on your face. You have an issue like this on the ballot all by itself in a deep red state like Ohio, and it wins 57-43. In a deep red state like Ohio, what else can you conclude? You can't. Cheating did not make the difference in that race. I know people from Ohio. I know that some of those people are possible anti-Biden voters. I won't go as far to say they're Trump voters. They're possible Republican voters. They hate Trump. A lot of people I know out there hate Trump. Doesn't mean they wouldn't vote for him. I'm not ruling that out because they don't like Biden. But I guarantee you they voted for that amendment to allow them to kill their children. Some of these people have met their children and, in a pinch, you might want to kill them, but not usually. But, yeah, I mean, young women, they don't want to get wrapped up in, God help me if I make a mistake or something, and then I want all options open. Doesn't mean I'm going to take them, of course. They always say that. They always begin the sentence like that. I hate abortion, but I want that option available. Don't take it away. I mean, I might absolutely need it, hate myself for the rest of my life, but I might need to do it. And then the parents, of course, they want it because they're going to end up with the kid if there's some, young unwanted pregnancy that somebody does something irresponsible, and next thing you know, there's a kid floating around. They're going to end up with it, so they won't want that. So they want the option available, even though, well, I hate abortion, but really it doesn't matter. None of this matters as far as what's right, what's wrong. It just doesn't matter. Americans want to be able to kill their children, and that's the fact. So the Republicans have to get with that, or they're just we're never going to win another election. And it's that important. It really is. We are half a generation away from being communist China. And it'll be like communist China, pretty much right down the line. Ability to kill children. Yes, check the box. No right to speak freely. No right to own any kind of guns. No right to public property, or I should say private property. No right to own property. So this country will be like communist China, and a lot of people, as long as they have the right to kill their children, will be perfectly fine with that. Now the rest of it eventually is going to, probably they'll come to regret it at some point. At some point when they go to post some clever TikTok video and the government takes it down because it violated Directive 1234, then they might go, oh, why did they take my TikTok down? I don't understand. I used to be able to post that back in the days when those ugly Republicans were in charge. Well, now things have changed. So, now your ox is being gored. Surprise, not having free speech sucks. And you're just learning that now. I don't know if it'll ever come to the point where some of these people will respect or rank freedom of speech where it belongs at the top of the heap as far as things that we have the right to do. At the moment, the right to kill your children is at the top of a lot of people's lists. So many people that they're winning elections with that, where the Democrats just go, you know what? We suck. We make you pay more. You're eating less. You're making less money. But damn it, we are down with you killing your children. If you want to kill your children, we'll help you. And people are just flocking to that message. They love it. Can't get enough of it. So I think the Republicans, now the good news in this, I think Donald Trump is positioned such that he could possibly neutralize this issue in 24. He is behind, don't get it twisted. He is behind in the polls. I'll talk about that in a moment. But DeSantis, most of these other minor league candidates, they're so far behind, I don't think they have any chance in the world of getting the nomination unless Trump becomes incapacitated or dies. They've taken way too hard a position on abortion, and they can't get away from it. The people just aren't going to believe them when they say, if Ron DeSantis, who came out with a 6-week prohibition. In other words, after 6 weeks of pregnancy, you're no longer allowed to kill your baby. Well, it's going to be hard to say, well, I was just kidding about that. I don't really mean it. When he's taken about as many hard and strong statements as you could get, I do mean it. that child in the womb has rights and you can't just kill it. Well, people don't want to hear that. So he's just not going to be able to get away with that, and people aren't going to vote for him. Haley, same thing from what I've read. When she was governor, she was a very strong pro-life candidate, or governor, I guess I should say. And I don't think she's going to be able to say, well, I changed my mind. Again, they're not going to, the people that want to kill their children simply aren't going to trust her. You're going to prevent me from killing my child. That's not right. I don't want to vote for you. And they won't. They haven't. So Trump, however, I think has said enough things that maybe he can get out of this, where he has called out DeSantis's 6-week ban on abortion and said it's stupid, terrible mistake, I believe was his exact words. Yeah, it's a terrible mistake because it's bad politics. That's what terrible mistake means. And Trump, I think, is possible, might be able to somehow neutralize this issue. Now, how would you neutralize the issue? I don't know. If maybe Trump will come out and do something like say, look, let's just have a national, we'll pass it through Congress that abortion's 100% legal except for, say, after the 8th month or something like that, where maybe there you might be able to get, say, 60% of the people to agree on that. The yeah butters might actually go for that. Now there's a hardcore, nihilistic, left-wing, harpy women group that they want to be able to kill their children at all times, no matter what, and they'll never go for something like that. But if you had something like that, and you said, look, we're going to do this nationally, all the states will have to comply with it. A lot of the people he would make angry are MAGA people, and they're not getting off his bus no matter what. In other words, that MAGA person in Texas saying, well, damn it, down here, we don't let people kill our children. We're not okay with that. So we ain't going to let you have some national thing where you're coming down here to Texas and telling us that we can't protect the unborn. We just ain't having that. I don't know. I think that guy is going to vote for Trump anyway. I mean, when it comes down to it, because it's between him and communist Joe Biden, you have to vote for Trump. So I think Trump might be able to, anger his own people with that sort of a deal there and still win. Where he's able to then neutralize the yeah butters. I hate abortion. That's horrible. But I certainly want to be able to do it if I really need it. I want to be able to kill my child if I really need it. So, yeah, he may be able to neutralize some of those yeah butters and make them think about some other issues, like the fact that ground beef costs now $5-6 a pound, and gasoline's upwards of $4 or $5 a gallon, and everything else that's gone wrong in this country in the last 3 years. We're in 2 different wars now. That sort of thing. So I think but that issue has to be dealt with, or the Republicans are going to be wiped out in 24, and then God knows what rights we're going to lose in the 4 years after 2024. So it's bad politics. The abortion issue is bad politics for the Republicans. It's just, the country's not ready for it. I link this issue many times to slavery, and I see it as, there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. To me, it's just that clear. There's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. The right answer is you shouldn't be allowed to kill your children. I don't know. I think that's a simple one. But people are not ready for that yet. Just like if you would have held a referendum, say, in 1790 and said, should black people have the same rights as white people? Well, there's no way in the world that would have been like 80-20 against in 1790. The country just wasn't ready to recognize African Americans as having the same rights as white people. Is that wrong? Yeah, it's wrong. But that's the way it was. It was reality. And this is reality. The people are not ready to recognize that a fetus has the same rights as a person, that they just don't see it that way. Will that ever change? I think it will. I think it will, and I think, say, 200 years from now, people will look back at people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and be horrified by these people. They'll look at them the same way they look at the Southern politicians from the antebellum era, the 1850s, 1860s, and be horrified by those people, going, oh my God, these people, they fought a war to keep black people enslaved. These people were monsters. And I think that's how they'll look at the people that are pro-abortion now, 200 years from now. But that's 200 years from now. Maybe they won't, because there'll be no history, because the America as we know it will become communist America, and they'll just rewrite the history books. Just like they do in every Orwell book. They just rewrite history. They unmake, goes down the memory hole. Someday we're going to have a dramatic reading of Orwell's famous book, 1984, because it's a seminal work that should be read in every school in America, and it's not, of course, and it should be, because it's a fantastic literary work, it's a fantastic political work, and I believe it demonstrates very accurately the dangers of allowing a government to have too much power. But that's for another time. So abortion, big problem. We got to do something about it. It's possible, and I said about Trump cutting a deal, which is kind of hard because he's not in power. So how does he cut a deal? I guess he could basically just take the position and say, look, first day in office, here's what I propose, and this is how it should go. The Republican Party, if they wanted to get out in front of this issue, could right now maybe even out-Democrat the Democrats and just say, well, look, why are we allowing, why have any prohibitions at all? It's illegal to kill a child once it's exited the birth canal. Then suddenly it went from being, hey, congratulations, you just killed your fetus, to you're a murderer. That seems pretty much a big switch there. So why are we even drawing these distinctions? Why don't we just allow you to kill the kid up to, say, I don't know, age 10 or so? Well, I don't know, 10. 10 they might actually be able to take care of themselves. Let's say age 3 or 4, because then the kid absolutely cannot take care of itself. And if you just left it loose in the world, it would die. It just wouldn't be able to feed itself without the assistance of other humans. The kid would just starve to death, basically. So it's really no different than a fetus. It's a helpless organism that can't fend for itself, that needs assistance. So the mother should then be able to make a decision that, I just don't want to have this 2-3-year-old around. It's a pain in the ass. It doesn't listen, and I'm going to kill it. So I think if the Republicans came out with that kind of position, they may out-Democrat the Democrats and maybe even win on this issue. It's possible that they could do that with just saying, let's just waive murder charges up until, say, 3-4 years old. You can kill. Now, I think we have to maybe draw distinctions as to who can kill the kids, because, you can't kill your neighbor's kid. Only under certain circumstances, I think, should that be allowed. We'd have to negotiate out the details there as to whether you can, a kid screaming in a restaurant, are other people allowed to kill that kid then? Or are they not allowed? Right now, of course, we're not allowed to do it. But under what I'm thinking, maybe they could. I don't know. Things to think about. But at any rate, big problem for the Republicans. Now, as far as these polls that are showing Trump ahead, he's not ahead. All these polls are Democrat polls. The Washington Post, the New York Times, CBS News. It's a fake. It's a work. It's not true. Why are they showing Trump ahead? They're trying to force out Biden. Obviously, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying, and they're not even, Joe Biden is not the object of this exercise. He doesn't know what day it is. All he knows is when you put ice cream in his mouth, he likes it. That's about as far as his thinking takes him. He's a dribbling idiot at this point, and he's the leader of the country. No, the people running Joe Biden are Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden. That's who we've elected, by the way, and possibly the Obamas. Now, here's where the Obamas and Jill Biden, their interests diverge in that the Obamas want the Bidens out. Well, I'm sure Jill Biden, of course, does not want that. So she is probably crossing her arms and saying exactly what I'm saying. These polls aren't real. This is a fake. It's a work. Donald Trump is not more popular than Joe Biden. There's no way in the world. I don't know one damn person who voted for Joe Biden that said, I'm voting for Trump. I haven't heard one person I know, and I know a bunch of Biden voters, and not one of them's changed their mind yet. So I don't know who these people are that they're quoting in the article or they're referring to in these polls. My position is they don't exist. Don't exist. Another thing that we saw Tuesday in a real poll, which we call an election, at least around here, is that the Democrats are all over as far as the media goes. They are totally outspending the Republicans everywhere in every place. Joe Biden's been on the TV here in the Philadelphia market for months, running ads, telling me how great it is. That, man, everything is so unbelievably beautiful around here thanks to the powers of Joe Biden. And you say, nobody believes that. Oh, really? Why do they run these ads? Because they work. Because they work. Evidence, Tuesday, Democrats won. Part of the reason why they won, they out-advertised the Republicans. So they have money. They have money to burn. They're the Democrats are the party of the rich now. I mean, perhaps 50 years ago it wasn't like that, but it is now. That's where the money's at, in the Democrat Party. The trial lawyers, the multi-billionaire oligarchs, the unions, especially the public service unions like the Teachers Association, government employees. It's a powerful, rich group that has much more money than the Republican Party has. So we're totally outgunned there. Oh, well, we have a billionaire as our candidate. Yeah, right. Who doesn't spend his own money? Yeah, for the first time, he actually might have an excuse on that, though. I mean, he needs his own money so he can try to stay out of jail. So that's a big problem. The fact we're getting outspent. And then the other is simply tactics. Once again, we, the Republicans, simply do not appreciate the power of the mail-in ballot. And I guess we only have ourselves, Donald Trump, to blame for this, because he runs around telling his people not to vote by mail. Now he's slowly coming around to, it's the law and it's not going away. So you better learn to fight like that. I work the polls. I've mentioned that in the past. That means I sit there for 13 hours a day in the polling station, checking people in, giving them ballots, making sure no one cheats. No one can cheat. I mean, in our polling station, it's impossible to cheat. The only way it could happen is if I did it. And I hadn't done it. I haven't done it. And even then it would be impossible because I'd get caught. There's just too many people that would have to be involved in addition to myself. So we're not cheating. I think it would be very hard to cheat. It could be done. Certainly could be done. The way it would be done is that you simply have all the poll workers of the same mindset and the same party, and they all work in collaboration to allow or vote people that didn't show up. In other words, I got a name, it's 7 o'clock, polls are closing in an hour. Here's a whole number of names on here, people that didn't vote. Okay, well, Bill Smith, take a ballot, shove it through the machine, boom, Bill Smith just voted. Here, Bob Andrews. He hadn't voted in 10 years. Here's a ballot. Bob Andrews, sign him in. Bob Andrews just voted. That's how it was done in the Philadelphia case where they actually caught the people and charged them with the crime. Ozzie Myers, I believe, was the man's name, just so you're not thinking, you're making shit up. That didn't happen. I believe the man's name, among others, was Ozzie Myers, who was doing that, and he was caught by the Trump Justice Department. So it can be done, but it's very difficult, and even then, you're just getting tens of votes, maybe in the best case hundreds, or maybe even thousands of votes. You're not getting tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of votes. So this idea that the Democrats are stealing every last election, they cheat, yeah. Did they steal the election? Who knows? Maybe once here or once there, but not every time. Sometimes they just win legitimately. They just had more votes because people want to kill their babies. People want to kill their babies. That's why people are voting for these Democrats. But then, in my precinct, again, we had some pretty important races locally here. The county commissioners were up. All 3 county commissioners were up for election. As far as I can remember, there's been a 2-to-1 Republican majority of the county commissioners here in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Berks County is, for the most part, I would say 55-45 Republican. And that number may fluctuate a little bit up or down, but pretty close to 55-45, and that goes probably all the way back into the 50s. We almost lost in an off-year election. The Democrats almost won a majority of county commissioners. What happened to this idea that, the Democrats, those are the low information voters and they only show up in presidential races. They all stay home in the off-year elections. Not anymore. Why? Because they vote by mail. It's so easy. We had people in the precinct, at least 3 times that the line was, I would say, 20, 30 minutes. It just took people 5-10 minutes to vote. There was a lot of races of people that no one had heard of, like, should this judge or that judge win? And you never heard of either of them. And people just sit there trying to figure out, have I ever heard of this guy? I don't know. I don't know anything about either one of them. Yeah, and I guess that just takes people time then to make a decision. It's like, you don't know these people. You don't know them. It doesn't matter unless you're, of the mindset that one's a Democrat and one's a Republican. Now that should be the end of your conversation right there. Democrats you don't vote for, ever. You never vote for a Democrat, ever. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be your mother. It could be Jesus Christ. You don't vote for him. Because if Jesus Christ is running as a Democrat, it's not Jesus Christ. It's the devil in disguise. It's that simple. So you never, ever vote for a Democrat. But people don't think that way. So they're like, I don't know. Will Bill do a better job than Susan? I don't know. Do I feel like voting for a woman? And it just takes people forever to make a damn decision. Meanwhile, everyone's standing there waiting in line. I remarked to the voters a couple different times. I said, you guys all must be Republicans. The Democrats, they don't stand in line. They vote by mail and they're done. In 5 minutes, they're done. So that's why I could tell all you people are Republicans. I knew they were all Republicans because I checked them all in. So I knew for a fact they were. But it's like, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. It's like, you morons. It's like you're laughing at us and you're losing. We're the ones that are kicking your ass, and we're not wasting our time. I could think of, I'm going to say, 3 different people I know right here in the township that have their damn Make America Great flags on their property that didn't vote. Didn't vote. It's like you're so political that you got a flag up, waving it in the FBI's face saying, come get me, and then you don't bother to vote? Vote by mail, for Christ's sakes. Vote by mail. It would take 5 minutes, you'd be done. And then you could say, I participated. rather than just waving your meaningless flag. So it just frustrates the hell out of me that the Republican Party is so poorly run that I think there's a legitimate school of thought that the people that run the Republican Party do not want to win, that they do not want to win. Because if they won, then they'd be in charge and they might be expected to do something. It's just so much easier to get rich when you're not expected to produce results for the electorate. Well, I would have liked to have gotten that bill through for you, Mr. Smith, but we were just outvoted. But thank you for your generous campaign contribution. I'll do better next time if you can write more checks and get me more people that think like me so we can pass that bill. Now, of course, that's the last thing in the world this guy wants, is more people like him elected so he can pass a bill. He don't want to pass a bill. He just wants to be able to say, sorry, I tried, keep writing me checks. So yeah, my thought on 24 is we'll have a chance. I don't think it's a good chance. 10%, maybe. Most likely scenario is it's going to be a Democrat wipeout. We'll lose the House, we'll lose the Senate, we'll lose the White House. The majorities will probably be big. Yeah, I mean, I would start right there with free speech then. I would start, if I were the Democrats, you'll get that nationalized election bill. You'll get that again. That'll be right off the top, and it'll pass if they have enough votes. And then you can start outlawing free speech, where they'll just make it such that they'll never lose another election. And now you are in a totalitarian system without elections, in other words. We may already be there. In other words, we're about to have an election where we have a 10% chance of winning. I don't know. Did Hugo Chavez's opponent have a 10% chance? How about Putin's opponent? Was it 10%? So, we may already be there. Very discouraged, very discouraged. Not a lot to be happy about on the political front right now, not at all. But first thing the Republicans got to do is we got to get out in front and start wanting to kill our kids. That's where we got to start if we ever want to preserve any of the rights that are much more important than that, like speech, the ability to defend ourselves, that sort of thing, the right to own private property. Yeah, that's where we have to go. We have to just allow baby murder. We have to. Got no other choice. That's what the people want. We got to get on board with it, or we're going to lose every election until this is a totalitarian country. I mean a completely totalitarian country, not a pseudo-totalitarian country like it is now. But at any rate, I really don't believe in killing my children or your children or any children. But I believe I'm forced to have to say that now so we can win elections. And I really do believe in free speech. So we'll talk again. I'm Eric Arnold.